Chapter 9, The Myth of Nimrod. It is not my present purpose to interpret or expound the entire list of character names given in the genealogies of chapter 10 of the book of Genesis. The purpose of this writing is to make known that the fact that our Bible was originally an ancient Irish production of priests of the sun worship of the Saviour Iesu Christ, and that its identity as an Irish book is still recognizable to anyone who is qualified to examine it, in spite of the concealment practiced by the revisers and translators. There are so many interesting topics and character names offered for interpretation in these ancient Irish myths in our Bible that one is loath to omit any of them. However, a choice must be made, and only a few more will be selected for this work, beginning with the myth of Nimrod. In Genesis 10:8, the text reads, quote, "And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth," end quote. Verse 9 is a further introduction to this character, quote, "He was a mighty hunter before the Lord, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod the mighty hunter before the Lord," end quote. In this mythical narrative, the character Nimrod has two aspects, a higher and a lower. In his higher aspect, as a hunter before the Lord, he is the personified sun, who is mythically a hunter in the vault of the heavens, where he has for game, in the constellations, a lion, a bull, and the two bears, the greater and the lesser. That in this aspect as a hunter, he is the personified sun, can be easily seen by his original Irish name, Neamruaid, which the revisers and translators have distorted into Nimrod. The name word Neamruaid is composed of two syllables, the first Neam, pronounced nave, meaning heaven, and the second Riod, meaning red. Hence we have the heavenly red one, the sun. The word is pronounced Neamruaid, and it is evident that it was given its present form of Nimrod for a disguise. As Nimrod, it has served the purpose of the revisers until now, but we will restore the name to its ancient and original form. When written in its full form, Neamruaid, equivalent to Neamruaid, the word will be recognized as its correct form by every Gaelic scholar. Nimrod, in his lower or human aspect, represents the spiritual spark or ego descending into his incarnation, birth, in the flesh body, taking human form on earth. It is this latter aspect of his nature that is cryptically set forth in verse 10, which reads, quote, "And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel and Erech and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar," end quote. These names deal with the sex nature and generation and imply that in the beginning of man's career as a spiritual entity or being here on the earth plane, he is sensual and is attracted by the sex nature or sex love. But in the course of time, the spiritual urge which develops emancipates him from it. Hence the long list of typical Irish name characters, figuratively to imply this fact in our natures. We are informed in the myth that Nimrod's first kingdom, characteristic trait and tendency, was Babel. This word is a compound of two syllables which deal with the sex nature. The first is ba, from the Irish word bod, meaning a tail, the male organ of generation, fire, and baed, pronounced ba, meaning love, affection, regard, friendship. The second syllable bel is from the Irish bail, a mouth, an orifice, a hole. This word is used in the myth to signify a cleft, breach, gate, an opening or entranceway. Thus from these two words we have the word Babel, in which it is secretly embodied the idea of sensual tendency of man's earthly or lower nature. Erech is from the word er, meaning the end, the end of the body, the hips or buttocks, the seat of the sex nature. Akkad is an Irish word said to signify a field. The Irish form of this word is akkad, the dots over the second and last letters rendering it achad, a field. Churchmen and writers on biblical subjects encourage a belief in this interpretation of akkad in the Bible text. However, this word in the text is not intended for akkad, a field, but for a very similar word, namely akaid, also pronounced aked. This word means an abode, habitation. That this is the word which akkad in the text represents can be seen when we understand that here in this part of the mythic story, the spirit or ego, Nimrod, has descended into the incarnation in the flesh body, which is now his abode or habitation. This will be further seen in the explanation of his next possession, Kalnei, in the land of Shinar. The word Kalnei is composed of two-syllable words, Kal, meaning sleep, and Nei, meaning 9. Shinar means we, us, ourselves, all humankind. Therefore, the 10th verse of the narrative informs us that the spiritual ego Nimrod has arrived at gestation in the womb and is undergoing a 9-month sleep in Kalnei, in the land of Shinar, in the fetus or ark, within a human mother. In fact, and in brief, this Irish myth epitomizes the descent of spirit in the life course of all humanity and its coming into manifestation through birth in the vehicle of the flesh of the body of the earth plane.